Bells and Jacob walked through the outskirts of Philadelphia, heading deeper into the city to reach the protected Dragon District. They passed one empty block after another, and the red, spray-painted H surrounded by a circle, the symbol of the anarchist surviving humans, grew more common the deeper they went. She pointed at one as they walked past it, and Jacob pressed his lips tightly together until they were just thin lines. He said nothing in response. Bells grew worried. She didn't know him well enough to tell what he was thinking, but she did know he could derail their whole objective if he got it in his head to find and punish the ones vandalizing the city. Best to head him off before that thought occurred. She said, "With this fungus infecting the city and threatening to escape into the wide, wide world, we have to make our top priority to get to your manor. We can plan things there and maybe get more of an idea about what we're up against. It should be safer too, right?" He seemed to speed up. "Our top priority has to be to get back the Sword of Fire, not get ourselves back to safety. If the elves figure out what the sword does, can you imagine the harm they could do with it? Not just to all the other Pures, but even to dragons. Without us, you Fae will have no one to protect you, and you really will be slaves, not just servants." Bells didn't answer. Servants was far from the right way to describe an entire race that the other Pures could kill without any repercussions. People who couldn't leave their village without some other Pure's permission. "It shouldn't be okay to force Fae to be servants just because of our race," she muttered, low enough to be sure he wouldn't hear it. Louder, she said, "Your manor is protected by the strongest wards outside of Safeholm itself, right? And Philadelphia has access to the Warrens, I imagine. Your tunnels run deep through the Earth's crust, and I'm well aware that you could hide every dragon in the world down there." "So? Protecting the world is our duty. You think dragons are going to run from a fight for the world just to go huddle in dark tunnels and caves?" He clicked his tongue against his teeth, irritated. "No, but if things get really bad, you have a place to live, to fight another day, and maybe even room for whatever Fae are free by then." "Maybe. But before things ever come to that, you should get your father to help you. Only you and the first counselor can get all the dragons working together to fix this problem, but not until he knows what you know. We have to tell Micah." "That's why we're going back to my manor, unless you had another reason." His tone was carefully neutral, but his aura flared with a tinge of red. It didn't reach his eyes, though. They stayed free of any glow, thankfully. His eyes were scary when he was angry. "Who do you think is really behind all this? The sword gone? The fungus? It all has to be related. For all this to happen so close together seems like a big stretch to be a coincidence." Jacob didn't reply, just shrugged. She couldn't blame him. It was hard to have the motivation to talk when the desolation was all around them. The city was in chaos, and humans were taking advantage of that to rampage all over the outskirts. When Bells saw a pile of pure corpses, it was clear the humans were lashing out at those who took their world from them. Each corpse had been tagged with the rebel symbol. At least Jacob was still leading her toward the wards protecting the Dragon District. He'd made it sound like that was his destination the whole time, but his shifting their heading proved otherwise. Even if his pride made him take the credit, she was glad he listened, though she grew irritated anyway. He just seemed so arrogant. They rounded a corner, and she and Jacob both stopped mid-step. She stared in awe as up ahead, 3 connected buildings laid out in a U-shape seemed to be crawling with elves and wares. Cargo trailers had been stacked around every side, blocking the open end of the U, leaving only a small gap in the front guarded by wares and elves with human guns. At least one of the elves was clearly a battle mage too, his reddish aura visible to her even from 100 yards away. Outside the makeshift gate were dozens of corpses, human and pure alike, even elves. Jacob blurted, "By creation, the elves are in the cantonments. How can this be allowed?"
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.